Your brain is smarter than you think, which is sort of an ironic statement. If it doesn't really think you have a good plan that's going to achieve something worth achieving, you're not going to feel very motivated. That can feel a lot like procrastination.
Have you heard of the phrase deep work? Deep work is something that at Mulliganbrothers we have plastered all around the building. Deep work is where you have that flow of work. You must have felt it when nothing can stop you and you do the work of 10 hours in 1 hour. That is deep work. And today we have Cal Newport, an expert on deep work. He has done all the literature, all the science, he's written all the books on this. And he explains exactly how to use deep work and how to become an elite thinker. Today's video is sponsored by Mulliganbrothers.com, the best motivational clothing brand in the world. You can now get the new book as well, linked down below, and the Rise and Grind series are linked down below. Before that, how do we exercise and train deep work? How do we use it as a tool to get the most out of our brains? How do we become an elite thinker? This is the expert to listen to, Cal Newport. I'm your host, Jordan Mulligan. Let's jump into the video.
So deep work is just my term for where you are concentrating without distraction on a cognitively demanding task. So you're giving something your full attention, but that without distraction piece is a key attribute of the definition. Without distraction means no context shifting. This is something that a lot of people don't realize, and it causes a lot of issues in terms of actually trying to do cognitive work, which is, we know multitasking is bad. We've known this since the early 2000s, that if I'm literally trying to do two things simultaneously, okay, I can't really do them simultaneously. I'm switching back and forth. I'll do both worse. We know this. It's why if I'm working on editing a documentary or writing an article, I'm not going to keep my email inbox open while I'm doing it, or I'm not going to be on a phone call while I'm trying to write. I can't actually do both. We all recognize that, and we basically don't do that anymore. What we don't realize for the most part, however, is that when you do a quick check of something, so you have to glance at email, you have to glance at Slack, you glance at what's going on social media on your phone, and then come back to the main thing. There is a long after effect of that quick check. It could last 10 or 15 minutes after that check happens. What happens from a neurological perspective is that we're slow to completely change our cognitive context. So when we see something that's highly salient, like a emotionally affecting social media post or emails that we need to get back to these people eventually, but we can't get back to them right now, but we know they're waiting for something, it initiates a context shift. In the brain, there's networks that are being inhibited, other networks that are being amplified. So we start this expensive context shift, and these can take a long time to actually finish. We don't let it finish because we're just glancing. Then we come back to editing the documentary or working on our article. Now we're trying to abort that context shift and then get our brain back to the context of what we're working on. And so what we end up with is this collision of initiated, aborted, initiated context shifts, the effect of which is cognitive capacity reduces, cognitive fatigue raises, and a background hum of anxiety is enhanced. So what is happening right now to a lot of people who are doing high-level knowledge work is that they think they're editing a documentary full-time, they think they're writing an article full-time, because these quick checks of email and Slack and their phone, they only take 30 seconds and they don't have it open at the same time. But each of those quick checks is leaving this residue. And before that residue can clear, which might take 15 minutes before you're fully back in the context of the work, you check it again. And then you check it again. And so we're putting ourselves in this self-enforced state of reduced cognitive capacity. It feels terrible and we're exhausted. It's probably the feeling you're having trying to work on a documentary while having to context shift to all these business related matters. So deep work is, I'm not only focusing on something hard, I'm doing it for an extended amount of time with none of those context shifts. I'm basically avoiding those things that brings down my capacity so I can actually operate at high capacity. And I think it's a critical behavior for success in any sort of non-trivial knowledge work, is the ability to give each thing attention until you reach a stopping point. So it can be your full cognitive context is the thing you're working on. This is how you unlock the full potential of your brain, avoid fatigue, avoid anxiety. One thing at a time, giving each thing its attention due, not having this background interleaved concurrent quick checks of all these channels simultaneously. I think that is the key to satisfaction, actually producing stuff that you're proud of. It's why people, by the way, who have to do sort of Olympic level feats of cognition. So the incredible elite cognition, where I say Olympic level in the sense of you're pushing your brain to the limits of what the humans can do. Literary novelists, chess players, mathematicians, they are incredibly careful about insulating their giant swaths of time from the rest of the world, from distraction, from phones, from social media, etc., because they can't work at the elite level. Just like if you took an elite level athlete and said, you're gonna be a little dehydrated, you're gonna smoke a little bit, something like this. At the elite level, you're gonna drop from gold medal to out of the medal contention. So we really see this effect taken seriously by elite thinkers. Elite thinkers aren't on social media all the time. Elite thinkers, like I'm thinking the novelist Dave Eggers, he writes on a laptop with no internet connection, unreachable from 9 to 5. He can't do his novels if he was in a state of context shifting. But I think this same commitment that elite thinkers have needs to trickle down to the rest of us, because we're leaving a huge amount of productivity and satisfaction on the table. Sometimes what's going on here is that your mind doesn't trust your plan. So I just want to throw that angle in there as well. One of the defining features of the human brain, one of the reasons that we can separate from other animals, is that the human brain can both conceive of plans, right? So abstractly conceive of a plan and then evaluate that plan. Is it good or bad? And if it's good, you feel motivation to do it. And if it's bad, you feel dismotivation, right? So this is very important. Again, if we go back to the Paleolithic, the emergence of the modern Homo sapiens, you might be thinking through like, well, maybe what I should do is charge this mammoth and jump on it and stab it through the eye to kill it. Well, the plan evaluation apparatus is like, no, that's a bad plan. You're not going to feel motivated for that. And then you have another idea like, well, maybe we should throw spears from far away. And you feel motivation to do it. Some procrastination is basically your brain rejecting your plan. And so I first saw this with students where they'd feel procrastination to study. And it's because it's just an incredibly vague thing. Their mind's like, I don't know how to evaluate this. Like, what do you mean by study? And a lot of really successful students I looked at for my books, they never used the word study. It was much more concrete. I'm going to take these chapters and we're going to do a quiz and recall here. And this works really well and it's going to prepare me well. If your mind trusts the plan you have, you're much less likely to feel dismotivated. This also comes up a lot, I think, when people take on ambitious projects, which I think is good. But if you haven't actually done the work of figuring out how that type of project actually unfolds, what's really needed to succeed, your brain knows, look, you don't have a plan here that I trust that's going to lead us to success. So no, I'm not going to give you motivation to do this. And it's why there's a lot of novels that last 3 chapters before people give up. It's because they got excited about the idea of writing a novel, but didn't actually do the work of figuring out what would it really take to break into the world of novel writing. They just want to do their 1,000 words in the morning and feel motivated and post it on Instagram. Their brain's not tricked. It's like, I don't see a plan here that makes sense. I'm not going to invest energy if I don't see a plan I trust. So I think that's a big part of it as well. Your brain is smarter than you think, which is sort of an ironic statement. If it doesn't really think you have a good plan that's going to achieve something worth achieving, you're not going to feel very motivated. That can feel a lot like procrastination.
Thank you so much to Cal Newport. I'm going to link Cal's stuff down below because he's got so many amazing books, and you can use the Audible link down below for a free copy of any of his books if you sign up using that link. It's completely free and you can try out one of his books as well. It's a great way to get into sort of his literature. I really do recommend it. Cal Newport, we spoke to Cal last year, and he spoke to me about deep work and sort of told us about how to use deep work in our business. And now we have deep work zones. So we have a room upstairs that is dedicated towards editing a documentary. And the room before it is like a holding zone. There's a sign when you walk into that room, it says, you are about to approach a deep work zone. Please do not make any noise. Please do not use your phone. Please leave your phone in that room and do not disturb people who are working beyond the next door. So you go into that room and you're aware that you're about to enter a deep work zone, and the next door has a big red warning sign and it says deep work zone. No mobiles, no phones, that's the same thing, no devices. You are there to work and you are not allowed to enter that room unless you are working. And for us, that has worked really amazingly. It means that the editors, Luke and William, who are editing a documentary at the moment, can get into a flow, and they do 10 hours worth of work in 1 hour. It is that good. So I recommend you looking into deep work. So Cal Newport is your guy. Guys, if you want to follow me on Instagram and see what I get up to on a day-to-day basis, it's @Jordan Mulligan Brother. I am your host, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.